Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the Community Services Committee meeting of October 28th, 2025 to order. Niagara Region and Grimsby are situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandrunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara and Town of Grimsby stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. Can I get a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor DeFlavio, seconded by Member Breather. Resolved that the agenda for the October 28th, 2025 Community Services Committee meeting be approved. All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the previous meeting minutes? Moved by Councillor DeFlavio, seconded by Councillor Korstanji, and resolved that the following minutes be received. Community Services Committee, September 23rd. Grimsby Santa Claus Parade Committee, September 30th. Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee, September 30th. Grimsby Green Advisory Committee, October 9th. Art Gallery Special Purpose Advisory Committee, October 15th, and Age Friendly Advisory Committee, October 21st. All in favor? That's carried. We have no delegations or presentations. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get the Grimsby Museum Information Report for October 25th, 2025 on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Korstanji, seconded by Councillor Howe. And Janet, if you can please go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So the museum is going through a few things right now, which is great. We're having great turnout for our events. We have a holiday modern calligraphy workshop on November 1st, which is sold out. We have the Glam Gala coming up on November 7th. A little bit of information about the Glam Gala. Tickets are on sale. Unfortunately, tickets are very, very slow at the moment. So we have only sold 33 tickets to the gala at this point. So if you know anybody who is planning on going, please buy your tickets as soon as possible. We have a great silent auction going on, which I'll get to in a little bit, but we do have some great events coming up. We have a Remembrance Day talk through Historica Canada. It says in the report that the event is not confirmed, but the speaker has confirmed now. So that's the Saturday before Remembrance Day. We have a wreath making workshop. And then, of course, Fantasy of Trees is coming. It starts November 27th till December 7th. So come on out and support Rotary through that. And we also have a Christmas winter market on December, it says 13th, it's actually the 15th. We had some great past events, Coffee with a Curator. 15 members of the community came out to learn about our new exhibition, which is the Grimsby Our Story exhibition. And it was, we had great feedback for that. We had our sold out graveyard tours, which was, the people gave us great feedback for that as well. Spirits with Spirits, we sold out that again as well. And we got great feedback and some takeaways to create a better event next year for us. Our exhibits are coming down as of October 31st to get ready for Fantasy of Trees. And then in January, we have Cipher to Cipher coming in from the Canadian Science and Technology Museum, and it will be in from January until May. The Glam Gala, as I said, everything is underway. We have some great sponsorships and donations coming in. We have a great silent auction. The community really stepped up for us this year, which is fantastic. We have items from Lux Nail Bar, Goman's Appliances, Empower Yoga, Bounce Blowouts, Kevin Whitaker, Psychic Medium, has given us a gift certificate. Harmony Jewelers, Spaceless Media have all come forward and are helping us out for this event. These are just a few of the donors for our for the event. 40 Creek Distillery will host a whiskey tasting station. Malavoir is confirmed to do a tasting as well. And the catering and bar services will be provided by Chef Brad. As I said, tickets are currently available. We have been doing social media campaigns, a targeted marketing campaign ran on Spotify for 1 month. We initiated a poster campaign, and we have been in talk with the Lake as well as News Now to do some stories on the event. So hopefully we can move forward with that. And if you do want to buy tickets, please buy your tickets as soon as possible. For the foundation repair, it has been awarded. We are just waiting for a start date for that. And we also have a strategic plan, which is a necessity for our community museum operating grant this year, also known as CMOG. So it will be a 5-year plan. We are working with the art gallery on this. So it'll be guided by a structured set of deliverables designed to ensure a thoughtful, inclusive, and data-informed process. So this is going out, and hopefully it will be awarded within the month, and we can get that going for next year's CMOG application. The only grant we are applying for at the moment is Celebrate Canada for next year, and we are currently working on that grant.
Thank you, Janet. And do we have any questions from the committee? Councillor DeFlavio?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Janet. Thanks, Janet. It sounds like the preparation for the Glam Gala has been amazing, and all of the things that you have to offer are terrific. But the numbers obviously are concerning. Is there a minimum number that we need in order to kind of, to reach a break even? Like, is there a chance that it might be canceled? Like, I had my tickets for a few weeks now. I'm sure that probably 10 of the people that are coming on that 33 are in the room here, so I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but so we can get that information out there, is there a minimum number that you need? Is there, in order to kind of break even? I mean, the less there are, the more a chance I got of getting a good deal on the stuff that you guys are going to be selling. So I'm kind of torn, but I do want to make money for the art gallery, library, and museum. So if you could share more information about that so we kind of know what we're dealing with here.
Yes, of course, through you, Chair. Our minimum number right now is 60. So with 60 tickets, we can break even on the event through ticket sales, and then the profit from the silent auction would be the amount that we make for our fundraising goals at the moment. So if we do not sell those 60 tickets, the event probably will have to be canceled. We are in talks with the caterer as well as all of the contractors that we have working for the gala to see what we can do and if we can hold our deposits for another event or something like that at the moment, just so we minimize the impact of the event, the loss of the event. We are hoping that we will still be able to run the silent auction even if the actual event itself is canceled.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, I have a few. Starting with actually Councillor Flavio's made me think of this. I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity at all if the community that hasn't bought tickets, if maybe they can somehow do the silent auction of some way, So if there's a way that we can do that and maybe put that out there to the community, I think that's something that could generate some income for you. Do you have any comments, Janet?
Yes, thank you, through you, Chair. The silent auction is an online auction, so it's open to anybody. Anybody can register and anybody can bid on the items, and items can be picked up at all the items will be at the library art gallery. I have been in talk with the CEO of the library and the the art gallery curator, and we're trying to come up with a contingency plan to make it so that people can come see the items, and then if they would like to bid, they can bid there. There'll be technical support at the library for that. So if people did come in and wanted to bid, there would be an option for them to do that through the library as well.
Okay, that's great. So if you have that information, if you could forward it to me, then I could see what I can do with it. How can we make this better next year? So if you have like a magic wand, how can we max this out next year? I'm all about, I think if we, rather than having a bunch of little events, I think if we do one event and we really, market it really well and have this as an annual, I think that's the best. That's, in my opinion, I think that's the best. But for you, what would you say? How can we improve on this? And it's hard because there was a transition with some staff members as well. So what would you suggest for next year?
Thank you, through you, Chair. I think I'm not 100% sure what we would do. We sort of have to sit down with the library and the art gallery and myself and sort of look at what went wrong this year, what went wrong if we didn't do our marketing properly, or if it was just, we did change the time of year this year, so maybe we would move it back to the spring, or if we change the event and sort of decide sort of what went wrong and what went right and go from there. But it would have to be in talks with the library and art gallery and see sort of what works best for all three institutions for that. So I don't know what I would say with a magic wand to fix it, because like the last 2 years before that, we did really well. We were really, really happy with the outcome. It's just this year, the ticket sales just haven't. It might be because of the time of year. I don't know. We moved it due to our operating grants because they were both due right around when the gala was going. So it was very, very hectic for the art gallery and the museum at the time because our operating grants are quite large and the application takes quite a while. So that's why we moved it, to try and make it easier, but that might have been the mistake that we made.
Sorry, Councillor Howell, we'll finish up and then we'll get to you. All right. So I'm just wondering with grants, can you give me like a brief history of our success with grants? Because I think we can also try to get a little bit more grant money in the future for some of these needs. So have we been successful obtaining grants, or, for the most part?
Yes, the museum and the art gallery, I don't know what the library applies for, but the museum and the art gallery, we both apply for these operating grants every year, and we have been successful in getting them every year. There are grants that the museum applies for throughout the year, such as Celebrate Canada and the Museum Assistance Program. We apply for those as well, and 90% of the time we're successful. It all depends on the amount of money that the grant has to give out that year. They are very selective in some of the projects that they do fund because of that, but we do get our operating grant every year, yes.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Howe?
Thank you, through you, Chair. To go back to some of the things that went south for us for the GLAM, it made it very difficult, and Janet was being very kind. The change of the date, there's no question about it, moving it back into November, into winter months, as opposed to September. It was non-cold weather, and the age bracket that really enjoys that, quite enjoy when you can go out in a decent weather instead of that. Moving it, plus being blindsided by another competitive type GLAM operation that kind of sucked a little bit of the wind out of the sails as well. So I guess everybody's got to work as a team, but I'm not sure where that went.
Okay. Resolve that report DCS 2540 Grimsby Museum Information Report, October 2025, dated October 28th, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Moving on to item 9, there are no consent reports. So moving on to discussion reports. The first report for discussion this evening is the Summer Camp and Aquatics Report for 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Moved by Member Breather, seconded by Councillor Korstanji. Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Our staff team did a great job of once again pulling together our summer and aquatic season, particularly knowing that we're dealing with the Peach King Centre construction, significant location changes, and a variety of other factors. But I'm actually going to pass this along to Trevor, and he's just going to walk you through the report, letting you know how we did this summer.
Thank you, Sarah, and through you, Chair. So it was a great summer, another successful summer for our aquatics and camp programs. As Sarah mentioned, it has been a bit of a challenge, particularly with the Peach King Centre expansion and renovation. So we are very pleased to be returning to that space this next summer, which will be great. So I will start with the pool. I will say this year, I think I've been doing this 9 years now. I think this was the most difficult summer we've had from a weather perspective. We had quite a number of heat warnings And with the amount of program we offer and then the demand that gets increased when it's hot on the pool, definitely took a toll on our staff team, and they did an amazing job holding it together and delivering our quality program through. Was really a difficult summer to be outside all day long, being active in the pool. So definitely appreciative of our team. So continuing to see steady growth at the pool. This is our 5th consecutive year of increased registration and fill rates. A total of over 2,700 lesson spaces were offered. That's a 9% increase over 2023. Registrations are up 18% since 2023. Our fill rate is up to 72.5%. The big story that we're really pleased with, I think we did a report in 2023 identifying some challenges with wait lists and access to programs, and we've been working to reduce those over time. So our wait list was 644 in 2023. It was down to 211 this past season, so down 67%. And a lot of that can be attributed to, yes, an increase in spaces, but also us really trying to optimize the lessons that we're offering that meet the highest demand programs the best that we can. We're up 6% in the total amount of sessions that we offer. But we hit record heat warning days, 16 heat warning days that covered our season. That's well more than double last year. So we do offer free swimming on heat warning days, which is a great service to residents. But the problem it presents for us is we simultaneously have more people than we ever do in the pool, and our staff need to obviously provide services during that time. But there's obviously increased requirements for breaks and on-deck supervision, which is challenging because we're trying to keep more lifeguards out there while they need increased breaks. So we have been kind of working with the team about things we can do next year to ensure that staff are supported through those days, but also knowing the unpredictable nature of when it's going to be hot. And this year in particular, we had heat warnings that extended over multiple days. We had, I think it was 2 or 3 that were 3-4 days. And when you get those in succession, it definitely makes it even more challenging for the team. So one of the things that we looked at back in 2013 was our non-resident participation. At the time, we were worried about access, ensuring that everybody had opportunity, but at the same time, knowing that non-residents are important to our overall revenue and participation levels, filling our classes to make sure that they proceed. So our non-resident swimmer makeup is about 17%. That's been stable over the last 3 years. But through our community feedback survey that we reached out to a lot of our participants, and through our waitlist data, we are really seeing that access is improving. So more people are saying they're having an easier time accessing our programs, while we're also seeing wait lists go down. So definitely on the right path and trying to keep improving. So we did a feedback survey. Things are steady. We had 91% residents complete. 60% who completed it were returning. 41% were attending the pool for the first time, which was really great to see that we're still getting new people, new residents or families who've never interacted with the pool before attending. Really good satisfaction numbers that are consistent with previous years. But the one of note that I wanted to highlight was 70% reported that they were able to register for all of their desired lessons, which is a massive improvement from where we were in 2023. Summer camp, we offered close to 1,400 spaces through camps and our partnership camps through other programs. It was another transitional year. When I complain about the heat at the pool, I can tell you the staff at the camps were also complaining about the heat in a non-air conditioned school. So again, looking forward greatly to returning to the Peach King Center with a little bit more support from us in administration, but also from the air conditioning that the new facility will offer. Most of our programs ran out of Smith Public School on Oaks Road, and one camp being located at Southward Community Park. Wait lists, again, are still doing well for camp. In 2021, 2022, we were hovering over 100, even 200 in 2021, and down to 72 on the wait list. One of the things we have been challenging with camp has been our refunds. So we're seeing an increasing amount of people refunding, canceling at the last minute because we've had a fairly lenient cancellation policy for our camps. So that was reviewed and through our user fee study, and we have much stricter penalties for cancellations, especially last minute cancellations for our camp programs, to ensure that people who are holding those spaces are remaining with them and reducing the cancellations that ultimately end up in unused spots and less access for residents. Resident feedback for camp was pretty good. We did see things dip a little bit, which is a little bit to be expected. I think, again, that location has been a real challenge, I think, for our staff team, the heat being one, not a lot of shade access on the exterior of the property at Smith. So again, greatly looking forward to returning to the Peach King Center. But overall, I do want to do just a shout out, especially to our summer camp team and Krista, the supervisor. We really kept our camp spaces the same as they have been, and revenue even has gone up. And being completely separated from our primary community center for 2 years, a huge accomplishment, a very challenging thing to do for our staff team. So I greatly appreciate the effort that went into that. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. Do we have any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, Councillor DeFlavio. I
waited to give other people a chance to speak first. I just wanted to commend our camp staff. I've got neighbors, and my kids are too old for camp, but I was a camp counselor. I know that it's not the best paying job, and a long day, and dealing with young children is not an easy task in the summertime. And I've had nothing but positive feedback about our camp staff. Every time somebody talks to me about camps, it's always positive. I think that the fact that you've been able to continue to run them despite the challenges of having the closure of our primary community center should be commended. The fact that the costs have been maintained at a reasonable amount, because we never want to price people out of participation, and I think you've done a great job of balancing that. So nothing but positives. I just wanted to give you that positive feedback, because when I get it, sometimes I forget to pass it on to you guys. So I want to make sure that you pass it on to the camp staff and all the kids working there, and Krista, the adults working there too. But they are doing a great job, and they should know that and get that feedback. I hope that you give them, and I saw the quotes, and I see the quotes that you put in there. I hope that you have an opportunity to give that to them directly and let them know that that's happening, because that kind of positivity is what keeps you wanting to come back. And you want return staff, you want people coming back every year. That's what builds capacity, that's what builds leadership in those programs. So I hope that you're taking that opportunity to give that positive feedback back to them, so that they know, because at the end of the summer, you're tired and you feel unappreciated, because I was there. It was 40 years ago, but I was there. But I understand how it feels at the end of the summer at camp. You feel burnt out. So that little bit of positive feedback goes a long way in making you want to come back the next year. That's all I wanted to pass on to you folks. Thank you.
Okay, great comments. I'm just going to piggyback off that, because I'm very proud of the work that you guys do, because every year you're increasing your services, and like, if there was bad feedback out there or this reputation that things weren't going well, we would not have the numbers we do. So the fact that people keep coming back and more keep coming, you keep adding programs and more people fill it, that's a testament to this staff. So it's amazing. And with the lifeguarding, the fact that you have all of these students coming back year after year, that's also a very important thing, because we know how hard it is to get lifeguards in a lot of municipalities. So a few other things. So with the lifeguards on the heat advisory days, I would support anything that you need to do in order to incentivize, those days when they are pretty unbearable, whether it's like more pizza or more breaks or anything. I don't know if there's some kind of bonus that you can give our staff on those days, because in Toronto and some other municipalities, they're shutting pools down. So the fact that we actually have lifeguards that show up is huge. So I want to make sure that they are taken care of on those days. So do whatever you need to do. I will support it. I'm sure the committee would. So that is to do with the pool. Love the positive feedback. I always find that when you bring this data, it is so powerful, and it shows us exactly, how we can improve things that maybe didn't go well. So I really appreciate this. Please keep bringing data like this forward, because it's obviously working when you come to the committee and you've got this for us to look at. So it's not just like hearsay, or we're just making subjective decisions, right? We can see the data, so you guys are doing great. I'll let you go in a second, Councillor Falvey. I'll just finish this last little bit. First timers, I was surprised that like so many of these people are first timers. Do you have any data as far as if possibly like these are young children and maybe this is their first introduction to like swim and things like that? Do we have any information as far as where they're coming for, what programs may have been in? Trevor?
Through you, Chair. We are getting better and better every year at kind of crunching the data and looking through. So I think that's two things. I think you're seeing demographic shifts, and this is anecdotal, it's just what I see every year. Younger families who have relocated, even like through COVID, who've came and now their kids are coming of age and they're participating. But I also think you just get families who have been participating for years and their children are getting older and are no longer participating, and then you get these new young families who are coming in. So I think it's a mix of both. When we look at our participation levels, like our swimmer, I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe it was like our swimmer 1 to 5 and our preschool 1 to 5, which are the youngest age groups, make up like 65% of the total participation in the pool. It's young children who are learning to swim for the first time who are really driving our registration. So I really think it's people who are kind of aging into the pool as well as kind of the shifts that are happening in our community.
That's great, thanks. Last one to do with the cancellation policy. So I'm just wondering, because I remember myself, having, when my kids were little, being on the wait list and you guys let me know, you slid me in. This is a long time ago. So what are we doing? Are there any changes? Like, are we giving people a little bit more time, like moving forward as far as like they have to tell us earlier, right? And then getting on that wait list, like what are we doing more specifically there?
Through you, Chair. There's a couple things we're doing. So we used to have, it was basically a blanket $25 refund fee. And for the most part, that worked well. We didn't have a lot of cancellations. We didn't have, it was very rare. And people usually would cancel for good reason, right? Someone's been injured or someone's sick, that type of thing. I think as we've seen summer camp become more and more competitive over the years, and it is getting very, very competitive, not just in Grimsby, we're actually pretty good, but like Hamilton, Toronto, it is incredibly competitive. And I think when we have such a generous policy, what you're seeing people do is register early for multiple weeks at different programs, not just in Grimsby, but Brock University or private programs. And then it's like, I'll decide later which one I want. It's $25 insurance for my child to have camp, but then I'll pull them out later. So then we get, the week before 4 or 5 people canceling in a single program. Not only have we lost the revenue, that's 5 unfilled spaces that benefit the community. So I think it's just due to the kind of increase in demand and people's desperation to hold spaces, and they're holding them all over to give their children choice and make sure they have something locked down. So we're moving to kind of a rolling percentage-based fee. I don't have it in front of me, but it was in the rates and fees, and I can send it to you separately. But it's basically the more notice you give us, the lower percentage fee you pay. Whereas if you're going to let us know, I believe it's within a week, you don't get anything back because we have no opportunity to fill that space. If you give us 4 weeks, maybe it's a 25% fee to cover our administration and our time, and then we go out and we fill from the wait list. But we're really hoping that it's twofold. We're going to be communicating this new policy through like a question that you answer when you register as a deterrent. Like if your intention is to hold this space and you're not sure you need it, please don't register because the financial penalty is higher. And that way, hopefully we're having less cancellations. And then secondly, I think it's that waitlist management portion that you mentioned, which is how can we quickly fill these spaces? We don't want to call somebody and say, hey, do you want the wait list and wait for a week to see if they want it. We have to move quickly to keep these spaces filled and make sure our fill rates are high. So we're working on that, but we're really hoping that it's more of a deterrent. Like we're not looking to make a lot of money on cancellation fees. We're really looking to deter folks from registering for spaces that they don't truly need.
So my suggestion there would be if we could somehow incorporate maybe on our town page or something, like there are this many spaces in these programs, because there might be like my concern mostly is that we're providing that service. It's not a concern. I'm just saying if we have the opportunity to provide that service because spaces come available, then maybe a parent will a last minute go, oh, there's a lot going on. Maybe this would be a good opportunity to put my kid in it. So maybe if we can just put that out there somehow, whatever you want to do with that would be awesome. Are there any other questions? Councillor Flavio.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Yeah, I think that You mentioned the weather this summer, and I think that's an important factor that it's kind of hard to plan for. You got to kind of plan based on average years, and you know, like I said, having been a camp counselor, rainy days as a camp counselor were the worst because you had no programming space and you had to move programs inside and you had to have everybody put in one small area. Rainy days as a lifeguard are the greatest thing that ever happened, right? Because you get a day off, the pool's technically has to be closed if there's lightning. And there were, I think, were there any days that the pool was closed this summer? I can't, because I can tell you my garden had no rain this summer, so I can imagine the pool was almost never closed this summer, which it's hard to balance from a staffing perspective, so I get that. The question I wanted to ask you, though, was at the end of camps, and I had it written down, I forgot to ask you, at the end of camps, do we reach out to families and to participants to say, not, you know, how did we do, because I obviously do that, but what else would you like to see? You know, what kinds of camps do you think would, you know, you'd like to see out there? Because sometimes there are innovative ideas that maybe we don't have, and I get that we have a limited staff and you can't hire for, you know, you can't run a science camp unless you've got a staff for a science camp. And there are places that do that kind of specialized camp very well, like MAC does them and stuff like that. But do we reach out to people to see what they would like to see? And that's my first question. And the second one is, Trevor already mentioned it, that is the availability of the Peach King Center will allow us to expand programming. How do you see that impacting what we're able to offer once we have a gymnasium or two gymnasiums to work with, like from a sports camp perspective? Is there a potential for partnership with volleyball or basketball or you know, something like that to run those kinds of, you know, very specific camps? Do you have anything that you can share about that, I guess, is my other question.
Through you, Chair. Sorry, what was your first question again? You lost me on your second one.
So it was related to feedback from parents about what other camps we could possibly be offering.
So through the chair, we have been kind of in a holding pattern with the constructions. We haven't been looking to increase programming. We've really been trying to hold the line. So I think that's something that as we kind of move into the new space, something we can look into. We will have new relationships with, you know, our basketball association, volleyball association, pickleball, these different sports groups, users that are going to be coming in as part of the expansion and using spaces we've never had before. So I think there's definitely opportunity there. We actually just as a staff team had a programming workshop last week where, you know, we went and did a scan of all the different municipalities, not all, but a good selection of, especially similar size to Grimsby, and said what type of programs are they offering, not just camps. You know, there's a huge push right now for like recreational dance programs. We noticed they're very, very common. So not like, you know, recital dance, you know, that are very competitive, but more just recreational drop-in, for instance. Some music programs. So we're looking at what else is being offered, because we're going to have so much more opportunity in the new center. So I think it's not just about camp, it's holistically from a programming perspective, what can we do new now that we have access to more space? Because we used to be in a situation where, you know, we were stopping advertising because everything was full. And be like, are you doing any marketing? We're like, oh, we're just making people angry. Because we're like, hey, join our camp programs, and you go online and every single space is full. And you're like, well, why did you post this on Facebook? So I think there is a lot of opportunity now for us to kind of look at like diversifying our programming, drop-in programs. We saw a lot of homeschool programming. A lot of people are keeping their children home, looking for like active recreation during the day outside of a traditional school environment. They're at Southward Park all the time already. You know, how can we tap into these things that are changing and as our community is changing and kind of drive that participation? So we are looking at that, and I think moving that not just from a staff perspective, but into a public kind of input is something we can definitely move towards as we move into the new space.
Thanks.
All right, resolve that report DCS 2541, Summer Camp and Aquatics Report 2025, dated October 28, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? That is carried. And the second report for discussion this evening is about the Grimsby Farmers Market and happening in Grimsby 2026 events. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Howe, seconded by Member Breather. And Sarah, if you are leading this, okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks through you, Chair. So as we all are aware, next year will be a big year in Grimsby as the Downtown Reimagine project unfolds in downtown Grimsby. And of course, that is directly in the area of where two of our largest festival summertime events go on, the Grimsby Farmers Market and Happening in Grimsby. So we've met with the event organizers for both of these special events that we host. We've also met with some of our staff, Public Works, and some other staff, including our own staff team, just really looking at what is the feasibility of locations for these events to make sure that they continue this summer. And after we've reviewed it quite a bit, we've come to the conclusion that we understand entirely that there is a big desire to keep them downtown. But the logistics and the uncertainties that go with construction, which some of us know all too well, just make that really, really hard to plan an event well. And so the decision of the team was that the best choice was to relocate just for the 2026 season so that these events can be planned with certainty and with confidence, and also not be impacted or impact the construction project that will be going on. So the plan for this season in 2026 would be to move those events up to the Peach King Center. It will be completed by that time. It has been done before in both instances. Farmers Market has been up here, particularly when COVID went on. That was something that was relocated here, and we have actually had the Happening up here as well before. So we know it can be done, and it also gives us an opportunity to test sort of that opportunity in the new space as well to see how that goes. The plan then would be, though, in 2027 to move them back downtown, because we know that that's where people enjoy them most. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, so my question or comment would be, it's very reasonable why you're doing this. I'm just wondering if it's possible, if we could somehow allow the downtown businesses the opportunity to maybe set up booths just so that they are, still being able to put their face out there and draw some business, if that's a possibility. Sarah?
Through the chair, I'm sure that will be looked at as ways that we can still engage downtown. Perhaps there's even some shuttle or some connection. I think certainly everybody recognizes the value of that, so I'm sure they will explore ways to connect where they can.
Perfect, thank you. Any others? All right, so resolve that report DCS 2542, Grimsby Farmers Market and Happening in Grimsby 2026, dated October 28th, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? Okay, that is carried. And the third report for discussion this evening is a Community Services Department update. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get on the floor for discussion? Moved by Councillor Howe, seconded by Councillor DeFlavio. And Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So just a couple of updates to share this month. We've had 2 successful tree planting events. One was at Southwood Park. We planted 230 native trees and shrubs. That was once again the TD Trees program. And we've been doing that now for quite a number of years with great success, and we're really grateful for that kind of partnership that we have had with them. And then the second one was a planting that was a partnership. Again, there was a TD component to it, but that was also with our partners of NPCA. So at the one end of the 40 Mile Creek Bridge, where we had to clear it quite a bit, it was just their staging area for the bridge construction. A lot of planting has been done there to sort of restore that area in and around there. So they planted 500 native trees and shrubs in that area. So quite a large planting, and grateful that we have that grant funding to support those projects. Our Grimsby Seniors Club user fee, this was acknowledged, and we just wanted to flag it because it is something we're talking with our Seniors Club about currently. We are going to be changing how we structure their fee charges. That was looked at quite a bit through our user fee study. They used to pay a fee every single time they would come in, a 50-cent drop in charge, but there was quite a number of challenges that were occurring with that. So we're going to be shifting more to them sort of purchasing a block of sessions. There was a meeting actually today that a number of our staff had with our activity leaders of the Seniors Club to talk about this and some other things as they prepare for that transition next year to the new facility. And it was actually received quite well. So we think that this can work really well for everyone. I think it saves everybody scrounging their 50-cent quarters or their quarters in their pocket to be able to pay. It ensures that we can make sure we're optimizing the spaces that we have in these programs, not unlike some of our other programs as well, and just gives us some better analysis and tools that we can speak to how these programs are being used. The International Plowing Match, of course, happened last month, and just wanted to acknowledge it again in this report and sort of follow up. The team worked really, really hard to pull off, I think, just an excellent booth and an excellent presence. Really proud of the work that was done there. And happy to say as well that a number of the assets that were built to represent us at that station are things that we've been able to keep and use at other events and activities as well. Recent community events, the second annual Moonlight Market and Movie Night was held quite recently. Again, another tremendous turnout. I think the weather speaks for itself in the photo if you see it there. And Grimsby Glows is coming up this Saturday, November the 1st. Again, tends to be an extremely popular event that keeps growing and becoming a bit of an annual tradition, I think, for many people. We have holiday tree lighting that will be coming up Thursday, November the 20th here at Town Hall. Celebration of Lights contest will be kicking off fairly shortly as well. And Santa Claus Parade, believe it or not, we're going to start talking about Christmas more and more, is Saturday, December the 6th, first Saturday. And lastly, just wanted to share about a Climate Ready Infrastructure Service Program, or actually it's not last, sorry. So we have been received some funding from a company that's going to do some work with us to really look at some of our options that might exist to stabilizing the shoreline and addressing some of the erosion issues that are down in the area of Nellis Beach and Whitaker and Elizabeth Street, the Pump House Pier area. So we're excited to see what that might unfold and what we might be able to do with that work outcome. And then the last item on here is we have had quite a lot of problems with people not picking up after their pets at the dog parks in various areas. So we are going to be installing dog waste bags. We're just installing it at this park only. It is not our intention to install them everywhere throughout town. That gets costly and a little bit difficult to do. But this park, it just tends to be a particularly challenging area for our team to be cleaning up. So we're really hoping it's seen as a bit of a, I forgot my bag and I will use it this time, or maybe I leave a bag behind, but we are going to test this out, hoping that it makes a cleaner and safer condition in that park. And that's all.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? Councillor Howe?
Thank you, through you, Chair. The Climate Ready, is that any association with Brock? Because Brock has an office or a program having to do with erosion. And is it part and parcel of that? Or is it involved with there's also a group out of Godrich that come up with this type of stuff for erosion control on a natural basis?
Through the chair, I'd have to double check where exactly the services of this one come out, but it is not the Brock one. I think you're talking about their program, their environmental, I know the program you're speaking for, where Niagara Adapts and such was. That's not where this one's coming out of. It is something separate, but we do keep in contact with Brock as well and looking at those partnerships.
All right, so I have a few comments. I love that these events just keep evolving and more people are coming. I know it's hard for you to prepare for the numbers that are coming out, but as you guys both know, it would be much easier if you both sat on the same side. But with our branding strategy, I don't know if you saw our video, the video on the town recently, and it's great because it's so much of it is is community services, right? It's the events, it's the people, it's the events, it's all the connections. So, you know, keep doing more of this because it's appreciated. So, love that. With the shoreline protection, this is dealing with a lot of the Ward 3. So if I could be included somehow in that, I'll carve out some time whenever, you have your consultants or whatever coming, I would like to be included. And also, I don't know if we could put that out to the Green Committee, if they would like to somehow be involved, because, any extra help would be great. And the dog park. I see how that would be a problem. And I noticed in Ward 4, I'm assuming it's the neighbors that have clipped the little bags to the fences. So they've been doing that for a while. So I don't know if that's an alternative as well. But yeah, it's just an idea. All right, so resolved, oh yes, Councillor Howe.
Through you, Chair. And I'd like to go back to the IPM because I held it pretty close to my heart for a while. But I'd like to commend Janet and what you guys did up there for the display, for the tent, whatever we want to refer to it as. I know that anybody I ran across, and I was up there for 2 days, and they were in there, they were really quite enthused about it. You guys nailed it, and that tractor of your husband's right there in the tent was really, I mean, that set right off. Your IPM plowing match, there you go. You couldn't relate to it anymore. So congratulations to all of you, all of the people that I saw at the tent from the town staff and who were involved in it and all the work to go with it. Kudos. You nailed it. Thank you.
I'm going to second that because it looked phenomenal. I had no idea that that was your husband's. No, it was great. It looked so good. And, you know, when we're talking about the branding, you guys really just nailed it. It was great. And I think people are, when they come by, they're proud that we live here. And so thank you as well. All right. Any other questions before we move on? No. Okay. Resolved that report DCS 2543, Community Services Department update, October 25th, 2025, dated October 28th, 2025, be received for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. The fourth and final report for discussion this evening is on the Peach King Center refrigeration plant replacement. Can I get a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor for discussion? Okay, moved by Member Breather, seconded by Councillor Howe. Sarah or Mike, one of you, if you can please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll turn this over to Mike in just a second, but just a reminder. So this year in the budget, we did have an operating project to do some review with an engineering firm, knowing that our refrigeration plant was going to need replacement, particularly the west side, which is the oldest side. So that review has now been completed, and a lot of work has been done to research the options, talk to different municipalities, and really look at what's the best path going forward. This kind of comes into our asset management practices when we know that things are aging, looking at them and looking at what are our best options both today and in the long term, so we're making the best investment we can considering a variety of factors. And I think we've done that with the recommendation that's here. The recommendation here is sharing what has been put forward in the budget. So this item is going forward as a 2026 budget ask, and Mike can give a little bit more in terms of why we were recommending what we're recommending.
Thanks, Sarah. Through you, Chair. Our engineer is recommending moving away from an ammonia-based refrigeration system for several reasons, safety being the top reason, being in a residential area as well. Our current plant has a significant amount of ammonia in the back of the building. Basically, we have 2 refrigeration plants. In 2001, when the East Rink was built, they just married the 2 together. So we've got duplication on each side. So part of their recommendation is going down to 1 plant with a synthetic refrigerant, much safer, not toxic as ammonia is. The west side, being as old as it is, we're getting to the point now where we're having trouble finding parts for some of our equipment that's in there because most of it's aged out and they just don't manufacture it anymore. We had to get a part in from Japan last year that took 3 weeks. There wasn't one in North America. So it's a big ask, but it's necessary if we want to keep Peach King running efficiently. The engineer, I can have him come and at some point and present his findings to you as well. There's a lot of information in the report to go through, But, looking forward, his recommendation to me, as much as the cost is, it's probably our best option, and in the long run, cheaper to run than what we currently have. There are, with the synthetic refrigerants, they're fairly new the last, 7-8 years, but looking at the number of arenas that are switching over, including professional arenas, and here in Ontario and Quebec, it seems like the best option that he has recommended.
Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the committee? Councillor Howe.
Thank you, through you, Chair. There's a mention in the notes, and this has to do with monies, but we're talking about gas tax funding possibility, or it going to be. Do we know kind of ballpark what that number is? And have we determined where the required funds would be drawn from? Prior to that, I don't think I'm asking about the financial side of things, and then I've got a couple other questions.
Through the chair, so I don't know the actual percentage separation off the top of my head, but I know that a majority of this can come from our gas tax funds, but the other portion would come from reserves. And that will be outlined specifically in the budget process. That's where you'll see it.
Go ahead, Councillor Howe. Just a question for that as well. I thought the gas tax from the previous term of council, we were also supposed to get a gas tax, but our money went to Welland because we didn't have transit or something. Is there a clause there that we don't actually get it and it goes to like the Niagara region instead of the town of Grimsby?
Through the chair, I'm not going to give you an entirely certain answer on that, but my understanding is there's different components of gas tax funds, and I think that has to do with the transit portion that goes elsewhere. We definitely do get some gas tax funds, but maybe not the entire. Finance could answer that a little bit better with certainty than I. We definitely do, though, have some that comes our way, and certain projects are eligible for that, and we're just sharing that this one, thankfully for us, is eligible.
Sorry to barge in there, Councillor Howe, if you want to continue.
I can. And Mike, you mentioned about the ammonia. And I think any of us that read the news know that when there is an ammonia situation, that ammonia is just damn nasty stuff. You don't want to go playing around with it. Those days are gone of being able to have them. So the glycol is a lot more safety oriented, whereas we've been dodging the bullet on the ammonia. It wouldn't take much. So that's my thought on that. We've got a major, we named our PKC after a refrigeration company. Have we shared any questions with the fellows at Major? I mean, Major refrigeration, not that they can do this work. They'll be the first ones to say we're not, but there's components in there that maybe do we afford them the chance to say, okay, yeah, let me take a look at it and see what you think, because these guys are pros at it. Yep.
Through you, Chair. We can share the report with them, see if they can concur. I have faith in Moon Matt's recommendation, engineering company, but yeah, we can do that.
They were good enough to give us a chunk of change to help us. Maybe they can help us with some intellectual type help, so.
Councillor Flavio?
Thanks, Chair, through you. Yeah, having been coaching hockey while the alarm goes off and we carried probably 38-year-olds because they had skates on from the rink to the front of the building, pulled the rugs out so they wouldn't have to take their skates off, and kept running back and forth because we wanted to get them out of the building because the alarm went off. Anything that can avoid that alarm in the future is something that is great. Questions are, I guess, why wasn't this just part of the Peach King Center improvement? Like we've spent tens of millions of dollars on the project. Did we not know that this was something that was going to be required? Could the work have been done while the other work was being done? That's my first question, I guess. Because it seems like to do an additional project on a building that we are just finishing up on seems, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it doesn't seem like the right way to go about things. So I'm just wondering how we got to this point without knowing that we needed to replace this thing.
Through the chair, I can answer that. So we started the expansion renovation project way back in 2019. And it was very much, that grant project was very much focused on new spaces and new opportunities, not so much upgrading the arenas and an existing refrigeration plant. A lot of times they actually view those things quite differently, even with grant funding, right? Because you're just replacing or renewing an asset. You're not building new infrastructure. So I don't know how appealing that would have been to include in the project. And as well, when we were applying for that project, which needed a tight turnaround, we hadn't done the work to really investigate the system and all of those types of things. So I get it in terms of where it lines up currently with those projects, but I think looking at it a little bit further out, it's just sort of the way they have lined up. And I think this is kind of the way it needed to unfold. This is very specialized work as well, not necessarily something you would want to bury in a construction project. It's more of a really engineering, operational type of thing and different expertise.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the gas tax possible funding, and that would make sense to do it separately, because then you've got a la carte kind of, you've got a specific cost that the cost of, and you can use in your application process. So I get it. It's just hard to tell people there's more work happening after work has just been completed. So we just got to make sure that our communication on that and the reasoning why is done correctly. If you mentioned it, I apologize that I missed it. What's the expected lifespan of a new system? So that we know, I mean, the last one the upgrades lasted 24 years. That's pretty good. Do we know what the potential lifespan might be of the new one?
Through you, Chair. As my understanding is, its life cycle is probably around 30 years. The new systems run a lot lower pressure, and maintenance costs are way lower. And from what I understand, it's not regulated by the TSSA as well. So it definitely has its advantages over ammonia.
Thanks. The last thing, I'm assuming that, I love the idea of Major Refrigeration doing the work because they're a local contractor, but I assume it has to go to tender and has to be tendered because it's such a big project. So it would go through the normal closed tender process. Let's make sure that Major Refrigeration knows about the tender and that they are capable of putting in that, because being a local contractor, they could probably bid lower, frankly, than other contractors. I don't expect anybody to do work for free, but I would love to give work back to somebody who's already contributed to the community, obviously doing it in the manner that is legally acceptable, which is in a closed tender and the way that we have to do it.
Through the chair, absolutely, we'll go through the full procurement process. It will have to, especially at a value like this. We can certainly reach out to Major Refrigeration, just make them aware of it. My understanding in my conversations with them is the type of refrigeration that they focus on is actually quite different than this. Not to say that they wouldn't have anything to contribute or to suggest or even recommend other vendors, but I don't know that this is specifically the type of work they do. I think they focus in a different area, but we can certainly reach out.
All right, so I'm going to be the screwed chair because I'll ask the questions first. I'm leaning more towards the first the alternative of the cheaper ammonia-based one, being because we had this for 40 some odd years. It served us, it's a savings of $1 million. And like most of the other rinks in Ontario have also used it. So just the cost savings, basically. So if there was a savings of $1 million over the next 40 years, that might convince me otherwise. But like in the foreseeable, well, can you predict like cost savings? Because you said it's cheaper with parts and things like that, Mike, if you can kind of elaborate on that. If those savings will come later, like, or if we're talking about saving, 200,000 over the lifetime.
Through you, Chair. In the report, there's a cost comparison and a life cycle cost comparison, considering option 1, which is what you had mentioned as for option 4B. And it works out to about $1 million over the life cycle of the plant. But for me, the major factor is the safety. The neighborhoods, 40 years ago, we didn't have a lot of these subdivisions around us. It was a field. In discussions with our fire department, they're fully on board and getting rid of the ammonia. The problem with option 1 is you're just exchanging like for like. So you're going to have that ammonia component, that large amount of ammonia in the back of the building. Still, the recommendation that was made is, like I said, safety first and the life cycle costs.
Thank you, Mike. My only concern is that even if we do go ahead and approve this, that council is just going to overturn it. So if you have a lot of very strong arguments for, I think it'll go a little bit further. How is this, like, and I don't even know whether this relates, but the sound, remember how we had some issues like a year ago with the sound, with the neighbors complaining, and we had made some changes so that sound wasn't impacting them. Is there any like sound or any kind of aggravation that could potentially bother the neighbors?
Through you, Chair. The back of the building wasn't the issue. Last year was the dehumidifiers that were on the side of the building. But in their recommendation, they're proposing on putting all the equipment in one room, and the room would be on the east rink. So you'd be further away from any of the housing that's just west of the arena. So, and from what I understand, these systems are a constant whine, not like, what we currently have is just, reciprocating. It's a lot of popping noise and that, but I mean, the rooms are pretty soundproof and secure, so I don't think it'd be an issue.
Okay, I'm wondering, and I had just mentioned this to Noah about if we could potentially do a straw vote just to see if there's support for this, receiving this before I ask for option 1. So how would I do that?
Voting on an option?
Well, we're voting on receiving this report, right, for option 4. Is that correct?
Recommending, yeah.
Or recommending, sorry, this option. Mike?
Yeah, excuse for the Chair. I believe that the recommendation is made and it would go to the council for the vote. And if needed, I will bring the engineer in to give you his reasoning.
So can we just do a straw vote for the recommendation for option 4 right now? Okay. Yes, Sarah, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to make sure we're clear as well. So the option that we're recommending replaces the 2 plants and creates 1 plant. And I just want to make sure we recommend it. We're suggesting the alternate only because doing nothing is not an option. The alternate is would be replacing only the oldest plant with the same technology. It's not replacing the whole system. I just want to make sure it's understood that all that does is replace the oldest west pad system with the exact same thing. Still keeps the east pad old, still keeps two systems. So just want to make sure that's understood.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Flavio?
Thank you, Chair. I just looked it up because I thought I remembered an incident that occurred. There was and I don't want to be a doomsday person, but there was in British Columbia, there was a Fernie Memorial Auditorium tragedy where 3 people died as a result of exposure to ammonia. You know, you can't put a cost on human life, obviously, but I'm sure that the cost from an insurance perspective and from a closure perspective of that incident, you know, not that that's what's going to happen. I don't want to be that person saying that that's what's going to happen, but if they're, in the long run, we need to replace both. We should choose in my opinion, we should choose the one that is the one we're going to go with in the long run anyway. And I think that ammonia, despite I mean, there's lots of positives of ammonia, and that's why it's been used for so long. I mean, it's a natural product. It doesn't have ozone depletion. Like, it's not like the stuff that the refrigerant that you have in your house that you can't buy anymore because they banned it. It's a good product. It's just not safe. Like, it's not safe from especially for a public building. So if this was a Maple Leaf, you know, refrigeration unit where they do chicken storage or whatever, and they have all of the proper workers on site that are trained on that and all of that stuff, I would look at this differently. But this is a public facility where we have children and families and staff that are expected to be knowledgeable. But again, I wouldn't expect staff to know anything other than get the heck out of the building if the ammonia is leaking and call an expert, right? So if we can get away from that, I don't like the amount of money that this is going to cost, mostly because when you spend this amount of money, you want it to be where it's visible, because people see $2 million and they go, I don't see any changes, because it's not something that you can see, but it's something that we know is important. So that's the decision that we got to make. I'm in favor of the replacement just because, well, for 2 reasons. I think it's the better option from a safety perspective, but also I know that when you put things off, having been around for a while, I know that when you put things off from a municipal perspective, what costs $2 million now is going to cost $6 million 10 years from now. So I just want to get it done and get it done well and get it done, you know, hopefully under estimates. I'm assuming you guys did your homework when it came to these estimates, but hopefully we can get it done for less. But I do want to get it done, and I want to get it done properly. And the more this stuff ages, the more concerned I become about it. So that's why I'm going to be voting in favor of the replacement.
Councillor Howe?
Okay, and through you, Chair. And Sarah, you confused me a little bit on that option 4B. I'm reading it that no matter what, 4A or 4B, are going to be 2 new units. Each pad will have a new unit. It's just on B, we're going to take it and run them in one room, so to speak. Still two brand new units with all set to go, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor DeFlavio.
I forgot to ask this question. Is there any pressure from our insurers to switch from, because I would imagine that because of the safety factor, there would be higher insurance premiums, especially on older ammonia machinery. But have we heard anything? Like, because again, when we go with the old system to save money, I get that 100%. I'm concerned that 5 years from now, insurance companies across the province, because the movement is away from this system, will say, we can't insure you anymore because this system is too dangerous. So if we're spending money, So have you heard anything about that? And I don't want to put words in your mouth. So you're saying no? Okay, well, that's good. But that's something also that I think needs to be considered if it was out there. Because, you know, we know the cost of insurance is a problem across the municipality. And I just fear that in the long run, that's going to be something that we hear as well.
Sarah, go ahead.
Through the chair, I mean, we haven't heard that specifically, but I think part of the point that you're touching on is certainly what we're seeing is the trend is definitely to move away from ammonia. It is a very challenging substance to work from, and if you have a major leak, you know, the impacts to the community and what can happen is quite significant, quite concerning. The training, the requirements on the staff, I mean, there is a very, very significant difference between these two systems, and you know, we're making a 30-year investment. I think we need to make sure we make the right 30-year investment and really pay. And that's why we did this work, was to go out and really look at where is the trend, where is this going, where do we see, you know, the future of some of these things headed, so that we're picking the right choice, all of these things considered. And again, safety being, safety of people, but also the environment, I think is a very, very big one to consider here.
Okay, well, I would say that the committee has convinced me otherwise. So I was leaning towards seeing if we could bring this down. So my suggestion, though, is because I suspect that this might be a topic at our next council meeting. If you can look into the insurance, because I would imagine if this is a safer option, maybe that's a cost savings. And also, that was a good point about, you know, our cost now might be quite a bit cheaper than later on if we have to do this. So I think this is just going to be a cost issue. So if you can just make sure that you're prepared with, you know, that information, I think that would be, you know, really appreciated by council. And if I remember last year we put off something to do, it was like an $800,000 cost for the outside ice rink. We delayed that, right? I was the one that had asked for us to delay it. I'm going to ask that we delay it again, if that's possible, if we're putting this up. And I know this is a budget item. I'm just letting you know this, if we're going to have this expense, maybe we take our chances and see if it, you know, totally blows out throughout the season. Our winters tend to be pretty short anyway, so I would rather take that chance if we're going with this more expensive option, if that makes sense. Sarah, go ahead.
Through the chair, I can speak to that. I did push that out, and you'll see that in the budget. Some of that is as also so that we can do some more work and bring back options to you in terms of best use of that facility and other factors as well. So that is pushed out.
That's great. Thank you. All right. Resolve that report DCS 2544, Peach King Center Refrigeration Plant Replacement dated October 28th, 2025 be received and it's killing me with this script, for information. And one, that the Community Services Committee recommends option 4B be forwarded to the 2026 budget process for consideration, with option 1 considered as an alternative if option 4B is not approved. All in favor? Okay, and that is carried. There's no correspondence today. Is there any business pertaining to the committee? Okay, and Councillor Flavio.
I just wanted to say, go Jays. Let's get out of here and go watch the game.
Hopefully not 18 innings. All right. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. And thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.